I am Brian Goodger. I am the NITAC Director. I'm also the Associate Director for the Office of Logistics and Acquisition Operations at the National Institutes of Health. I've got to talk about procurement here, so I'm going to try really hard not to put anybody to sleep. I'm going to start off with a couple trivia questions. Number one, who was the first U.S. president to be born in a hospital? Bill, you can't answer. You already know. You're too many of my shows. First U.S. president to be born in a hospital. Raise your hand, shout it out. It's not as long ago as you would think. Close? No, sir. I'm sorry. No. Yes. I'm sorry? Not Nixon. You're getting really close. No. Who asked? Who answered first? Somebody. I'm going to give it to whoever. The answer is Jimmy Carter. All right, next question. United States, if you've been on the Mall, the Washington Monument, you've seen it, you've been to it, you've toured it, hopefully you have. The year it was delivered, the year it was first visited, the year of the inception. Anybody know? And this time it's a NITAC, which is our IT contracting vehicle. Mouse. Anybody got it? What year? A little earlier, close. Anybody else? Everybody, who's been to the Washington Monument? Yeah, there we go. Good. Going a little further back. Anybody else? I'm going to give it to you anyway. 1884. No, you cannot. All right. Let's go quick show of hands. Federal employees, raise your hand, including DOD, the warfighters. Okay, about half. United States government contractors, about half. Current CIOS, P3, or CS contractors at NITAC, only one, wow. And anyone that proposed on CIOS P4, our current GWAC, who's waiting eminent answers, about half a dozen. Great, okay, now I know who I have. I'm gonna speak for about 30 minutes. I'm gonna take comments and questions for about 20, 25 minutes, okay? At any point, if I say something you don't understand, don't know, raise your hand, shout out, yell to me. Okay, I again am Brian Goodger, 24 years, federal employee. I've been on 5 different departments, and over the last 10 years, I've been to NIH. NIH is part of HHS, Health and Human Services. So I'm on the civilian side of the government, but my contracting vehicle also serves the warfighter. All right, first and foremost, who is my customer? My customers are federal employees. Contracting officers. In the civilian side of the government, we call those COs. In DOD, we call them KOs. Anybody here a KO? Okay. For the warfighters, you probably don't like your KO. This vehicle will help you like them more. I also service the DOD, okay? All the way across, all 4 branches. All right, here we go. All right, what the heck is NITAC? It's a mouthful. Sounds kind of like private sector-ish, but again, I am a federal employee. There's my badge. The NIH falls under HHS, and we are one of the 3 Office of Management Budget, OMB, Executive Agent GWACs. What's a GWAC? Government-wide acquisition contract. What does that mean? It means anybody in the federal government can use it. Why would they use it? It's cheap, it's fast, it's easy to use. That's what you're going to hear over and over. Okay, one of the things that's also very attractive about our vehicle is what's called BIC, Best in Class, Level 3. There are 4 levels, 0, 1, 2, 3. We are the highest. What's that mean? It means we have integrity of data. It means that we conform with category management and strategic sourcing principles. It means that we provide an annual report to OMB about our numbers. We are BIC Level 3. We're also what's called SUM, Spend Under Management. So if you have program offices in the federal government, if you're a federal employee and you have BIC or some needs or percentages that you have to do every year, you can obtain them on the NITAC GWACs. All right, what do? We are IT, and IT only. IT. However, the definition of IT in government is so large that you'd be surprised what fits under that. End of the first bullet. What do? We are a bridge. How do I bridge the government customer, the federal employee with private industry? We set up the contracts in advance. We negotiate the prices. We set the terms and conditions. We set the table. And you are able, as a federal employee, to use those instruments, again, better, faster, quicker, cheaper. If you are going off old FedBizOps or Beta SAM, System for Award Management, like full and open competition in the federal government, you are probably taking anywhere from 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 months to award your contract. If you use the vehicle here, you can do it in 6 to 8 to 10 to 12 weeks. That's a big difference. Okay, halfway down, I want to draw your attention to, on average, you get about 5 quotes off of our vehicle. There's about 400 companies or contractors. You get about 5 quotes if you're a federal employee, or if you're in private industry, who you're competing against, about 5 others. And the last bullet's the most important. No protests under $10 million. No protest under $10 million. So our GWACs are competed under what's called FAR Part 15, full and open competition, but the task orders and delivery orders under Part 16, which is fair opportunity. Anything under 10 million cannot be protested. You'd be surprised how many requirements we get for $9,999,000. Okay, I talked about BIC already. And our authority, even though we sit in NIH and HHS, comes from the Office of Management Budget, which is a presidential directive to run these GWACs, government-wide acquisition contracts. A couple other unique principles to them. First and foremost, you can have any contract type. So you can have cost reimbursement family, firm fixed price family, time materials, labor hours. They're a streamlined acquisition process. That's why customers come to us specifically in the 3rd and 4th quarter. They didn't plan. They found some more money. Their contracting shop doesn't know IT. And then finally, the rates are pre-negotiated, but that doesn't mean that your local contracting officer can't try to negotiate them down further. So there are ceiling rates established. If you don't have time or don't have the need as a federal employee to negotiate them down further, that's fine. If you'd like to take the time, absolutely, it's your discretion. Next up. About halfway down for federal employees, no limitations on ODCs, other direct costs. That's a big selling point to our vehicle. And then again, down there at the bottom, streamlined under 16505. If you want to say, okay, how does NITAC do what they do? If you just read 16505 of the FAR, especially at night before you fall asleep, that'll take care of understanding our landscape, our authority, how we operate. All right, so who are these contractors? There are about 400 of them on the vehicle. We have fully vetted them. We've looked at their capabilities, their pricing, their past performance, their small business participation, their subcontracting plans. Sometimes NITAC refers to them as contract holders, as they do on this slide. That's just because we haven't really bought anything for them. We've, again, set the table. We've got the right to buy things for them. I still call them contractors, but if you're a contract holder, that's what it means. Okay, what are they providing to the government via these vehicles? All these things, telecommunication plans, mobility devices, video conferencing, collaboration, engineering and assessment, deployment and installation, web and social media, cybersecurity, cloud, AI, hardware and software, health and biomedical research IT, and enterprise-wide licenses. Customers, we are almost in every department and agency in government. NITAC is kind of a hidden gem, okay? You've heard about GSA, raise your hand if you heard about GSA, okay? You heard about NITAC, probably some haven't. Who's heard about NITAC before they sat down? Okay, about a third. And then the final one is NASA Soup. Who's heard about NASA Soup? Okay, they got that cute little duck. We don't have a duck. I'm working on something. In the meantime, you need to know that about 30% of the government's IT spend goes off one of those 3 vehicles. 70% goes what we consider the long way, the wrong way, the slow way. My job is not to go try to steal some of that 30% from GSA or NASA. My job is to go attract the 70% that's going the old school way. It's taking too long. And 1, educate them, 2, train them on the vehicle and give them opportunity to use it, hold their hand if they need that. Okay, DOD. I'm going to give you the full breadth of what they've used the vehicle under for the last 10 years. About $9 billion of DOD's money has been awarded off NITAC, 962 task orders or delivery orders. Specifically, with the Air Force, almost $500 million, 64 awards. Navy, $1.7 billion, almost 500 awards. Army, $3 billion, almost 118 awards. And what I want you to know and take away here is that DOD is our 2nd biggest customer. Even though I sit on the civilian side of the government, the DOD is our 2nd biggest customer. To that end, we have something called the Section 801 of the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA. The 801 says that NITAC, a civilian agency, can implement DFARS, terms and conditions, that we have the internal controls, that the DoD can trust us, that we get audited, that we have a local OGC, okay? We do everything from DoD, soup to nuts, A to Z. However, we don't do classified. No classified, only unclass. Okay, what is assisted acquisition service and how much does it cost? Okay, for this, we charge an extra 2%, some of the lowest fees in government, 2%. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you need a new KO, they're too busy, it's third and fourth quarter, they don't know IT. There's personality constraints, there's some restrictions there, people don't get along. You can send your requirement, MIPRA the money to us. We will help you build the acquisition plan. We'll help you write the requirement. We'll do the IGCE, the market research. We'll post the solicitation on our system. It's a closed system. It's called EGOS, Electronic Government Ordering System, for which then we will receive quotes from our contractors. Again, there's about 400. You'll get 5 to 10 quotes. And then we will help you decide which one is the best. We'll negotiate, we will award, and we will administer it for you on behalf of the Department of Defense. We'll pay the invoices, you'll get the deliverables, you'll look at the monthly reports, and we'll do that for 5 years. That's what assisted acquisition service is. I have a lot of COs and KOs. CO, of course, in DoD is commanding officer, and the civilian side of the government is contracting officer. KOs that are ex-DoDers. They've retired from DoD, they come back for a second career, so I've got some really good ex-DoD KOs. All right, what does the NITAC vehicle contain in its scope? There's 10 task areas. I'm not going to read every single one, but there's 10 task areas. We try to divvy up the work into one of these 10 task areas. Every once in a while, it could fit under multiple ones. Cybersecurity is big, software development, agile, lift and shift, connecting systems, outsourcing, you name it, we do it, everything IT. On the follow-on vehicle that's in protest right now, we flushed out some of the task areas, expanded upon them, and the big one that we've added is emerging technologies. So things that might happen in the IT industry in the next 3, 5, 7 years that we cannot account for currently will be included on the vehicle. Okay, cyber. I want to talk about cyber. So the federal government, unfortunately, is the second most targeted industry for cyber attacks. Last year, over 1,200, and it's going up by the second. That prompted Executive Order 14028. If you're in the private industry, you probably know about this one. Spring of 2021, improving the national cybersecurity by what? Removing barriers that threaten information sharing between government and the private sector. This is one of the biggest topics going on right now in government. It's huge. What is cybersecurity, according to the government? Comprehensive framework of practices, technologies, and processes designed to stand resiliently against the relentless barrage of cyber threats. It is a strategic fusion of our technological sophistication and vigilant defense against a diverse range of cyber threats that threaten the access, integrity, and confidentiality of our most critical digital information and assets. To that end, specifically, what are they going after? Spam and phishing, social engineering, viruses and malware, and ransomware. Challenges that we're having internal inside the government walls: network security, application security, endpoint security, data security, identity management, cloud service, mobile device security, and disaster recovery and business continuity planning. We've done a bunch of cybersecurity dollars off of our vehicle. We average about $300 million a year. It's going up considerably. These are some metrics that's going on in the private sector that you can probably relate to. If you're in the private sector, same problems, same issues. You're probably solving it a lot faster than we are in the government. Government's always a little slow to catch up to the private sector. What's going on in government to address it? Well, they started to specifically address more funds for cybersecurity. In civilian next year, $12.7 billion, and in defense, $13.5 billion. These are additional funds going for cybersecurity. I've got a video. It's about 3 minutes. It's not playing here. You can request a copy of the slides, and they'll be sent to you if you'd like to watch it. Next up, moving over to artificial intelligence. We've heard about this one. 13960 came out in the fall of 2023. Biden administration said new standards for AI safety and security, protect Americans' privacy, advance equity and civil rights, stand up for consumers and workers, promote innovation and competition, and advance American leadership around the world. Artificial intelligence, unfortunately, is transforming the federal government, depending on what seat you sit in. From answering questions using virtual assistants or chatbots to directions requests for the appropriate agency within the government to filling out forms, revolutionizing the way the federal government does business. Considerations we are making: discern if the use of advanced technology will be beneficial to the agency mission. Data analysis allows agencies to process large volumes of information. We've got a lot of that going on, specifically in procurement shops. Agencies will need to be able to interpret this information and determine how best it supports the mission. Share and use data responsibly in a way that does not place citizens at risk. And then following executive orders to reference 13859, maintaining American leadership in AI, and 13960, trustworthy artificial intelligence in the federal government. Contract holders or contractors in NITAC, what are they doing? Machine learning, deep learning, generative adversarial networks, supervised learning, and reinforcement learning. These are some of the services that our customers are buying. Okay, quick refresher on the vehicle, and then I'm going to open up to questions and comments. COSP3 stands for Solutions and Partners, Chief Information Officer. These are the services, anything that has to do with services. It's a 10-year GWAC. It ended in 2022. We've had to extend it twice, 1 year each time. Why? Because there's protest on the new vehicle. The ceiling is $20 billion. It's going up on the new one. You can do commercial and non-commercial services, and you can do any type of contract type. By the way, also for customers out there in the federal government, if you award a task order off this vehicle on the last day that it's up and running, that task order can go out 5 years. Okay, on the left side there, you'll see the large contract tours. We've got about 48. For that, we charge 0.65 access fee, NITAC contract access fee, otherwise known as NCAF. So like GSA has a industrial funding fee, they call it the IFF, they charge 0.75. We charge 0.65. We have a cap also where a cap will kick in at 150K, meaning you won't pay more as a government customer than more than 150K in any one given year. On the right side, the smalls, 339 of them. That one we try to incentivize the government to use more, so we only charge a 0.55 for the NCAF, same cap. And this one also has all socioeconomic categories: small, regular small, historically underutilized business zone, hub zone, SDVOSB, service disabled, veteran-owned small business, 8A, Chapter 8A of the Small Business Act, which says that under $4 million, you can do a direct award. So if you're in government and you know of a good 8A out there, you get a requirement that's $3.999 million, you can direct award to an 8A, no competition. You can do it in a matter of weeks. And then women-owned small business. Our other vehicle is more hardware, products, commodities, computers, and IT peripherals. That one's the one that's going up for recompetition this year, over the summer. We have a market research firm meeting today at 4 o'clock. This one also has a 10-year period of performance, and also if you award a delivery order on this one, it can go out 5 years after the period of performance. This one's just commercial though, and we just do fixed price, labor hours, and time materials. Okay, from that vehicle, we've spawned something called the GSS, or Government-Wide Strategic Solution. This conforms with the mandate by OMB and the 6 specs that most of the government buys on computers and desktops and laptops, monitors, software. It is a vehicle that allows contractors to provide a better price and a faster delivery. We've got about 18 companies on this one. All right, a lot of times I get questions about, like, how come I never see your stuff? Where's your stuff? That's the way they ask it. My stuff is closed off. It's on EGOS, Electronic Government Ordering System. How do you get credentialed into the system? You have to be a federal employee with a badge. We'll give you a username, login, and password, or you're a contractor on the vehicle. It's also, if you never use NITAC, for the federal employees out there, if you never use it, use EGOS and use the website as a spot for market research. It's amazing what you can learn on the NITAC site. Which companies are out there, which services they provide, how much they cost, where are they located, who's their point of contact, what business have they done in the past. All right, what I'm sure many of you are here for, COSP4, what's going on with it? Don't ask me, I have no idea. To date, let's go back a little bit. We had an RFP, we had an unbelievable amount of competition, setting a record. We made a apparent successful offer order list that was protested. We received about 300 protests. One of those protests we lost in part. As a result of losing that partial protest, what did? We took GAO's recommendation, Government Accountability Office, and we went and we redid the competition, we redid the validation, we rescored, we re-TEP'd them, Technical Evaluation Panel. From that re-TEP, which just concluded a month and a half ago, we sent out a new Apparent Successful Offeror list. The list has grown by about 30 companies. We're making more awards now. So the cut lines have moved down a little bit. As a result, this time we have received, to date, I haven't checked my phone in the last hour, 8 protests. So we're down to 8 protests. They are at the Court of Federal Claims, otherwise known as COFC. There are 3 areas you can protest. You can protest to the agency, which means the contracting officer. You can protest directly to the GAO, or you can protest all the way up to COFC, Court of Federal Claims. When anyone protests to COFC, the GAO protests go away. Not that we had any, but if anybody were to protest the GAO, those would be negated by the COFC protest. But the COFC problem is they take longer. Okay? When you protest to the agency, you get it resolved in 30, 60 days. When you protest to GAO, 100-day clock. When you go to COFC, could be 3 months, could be 6 months, could be 9 months, could be 12 months. As a result, we have put in for the extension of COSP 3. It is not approved yet. It's working its way through the various levels in government. COSP 3 extension will go for 6 months, taking it from April 29th of this year that was going to be due all the way to October 29th. So it'll take care of the entire fiscal year of 24. So for those federal employees out there that want to use the vehicle, you can still use it this fiscal year. We will have coverage. It'll eventually be approved here in the next couple of weeks. We'll formally announce it. We'll send out an email and a press release. COSP 3 will be up and running. However, just in case the protests still aren't resolved by this October, we'll have a little more room on that extension request. It'll probably go out another 6 months to the following April of 2025. Okay, next up, COCS, that's the commodities or hardware. We're going to have a market research session today at 4 o'clock. We're going to go over some changes to the vehicle. We're going to talk about timing of the procurement cycle. We're going to answer some questions and comments. You're invited today, 4 to 5. Okay, back to the customers, the federal employees. So where else in government can you call a phone number and a live person picks up? That's NITAC. Where else also can you get an email response? If you want somebody to scrub your docs, look at your statement of work, it can be a performance-based statement of work, a statement of objective, or a traditional statement of work. If you want comments on your evaluation criteria, if you don't know anything about agile versus waterfall and you want an IT specialist to look at it and give you some comments, some things to think about, we will do that for you for free. Okay, I repeat, for free. That part to you is free for service. And we'll do it a couple times, and eventually we'll start charging you. But we'll do it a couple times for free at first. Lots of tools and templates on our vehicle as well. For anybody who's out there as a core, contracting officer representative, or old COTAR or project officer, there's great forms and references out there on our website. And then if you want to get specifically trained on the vehicle, so we'll go through like a mock requirement in EGOS, and you can see what buttons are there. We'll help you. We'll show you how to do it. You can also get CLPs or CEUs for that. There's a phone number on the bottom. There's a website. And again, the vehicles. And now I will take, see what we're doing on time here. Okay, pretty good. I will take comments and questions. You've got to use the live mic or shout really loud, and then I'll repeat the question. I'll take any questions. Although there's some things on COSP4 I can't say, but you can try to ask. Questions and comments, either on NITAC or just the state of government procurement, because that's my other hat as well. Okay, Bill Kaki has a question.
Brian, can you discuss your philosophy in engaging with your contract holders and how we engage with government to bring business to the vehicle?
Sure, absolutely. So what's unique about NITAC is we have this partnership with the contractors where we both want the vehicle to succeed. We have these community action groups called CAGs where we have 4 different areas where we work closely with them, but we both promote the vehicle together. We both educate the vehicle. If a contract holder wants to go out and do what we call a dog and pony show to a potential government customer, and then the government wants to talk to us, federal employee to federal employee, they will refer us. We'll go have a conversation with them. But we have a very open dialogue with industry. We're constantly talking about changes, what's coming out from the current president's administration, the state of the IT industry. Just recently, we solved a couple problems with the contract holders, one of which was because we've been extending the vehicle year 11, year 12, the rates that were priced 12 years ago that didn't incorporate CPI increases and the state of the United States economy were capped. So what we allowed them to do was increase those at the task order level. So constant dialogue and interaction with industry. It's a kind of a very unique office. NITAC could be probably described as, it's kind of like a small business within the friendly confines of government. I only have 25 federal employees, but I got 150 in-house contractors from 8 different companies. I have anywhere from logisticians, people that do travel. I've got accountants, budget, in-house contract specialist, ex-retired federal employees in a second career. I got program analyst. I've got media and web analyst. We really do kind of run like a small business. We are fee for service, so our bottom line does matter. We're not out to provide a profit. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to provide a service. In fact, if I make too much money, my rates go down. If I have any excess money after that, I plug it back into the business to make it better, faster, cheaper for the next iteration. NITAC's been in business since 1996, so we're coming up a couple years away from our 30th anniversary. Okay, other comments and questions? Anybody got questions on CUSP4, what to expect, timelines, anything I said they didn't understand? For the government customers out there, again, CUSP3 will be extended. The request is in. It goes all the way to the secretary's level. That's why it's going to take a couple weeks. When he finally signs, we will announce it. The extension will go until October 29th, so you go through all the way through fiscal year 24, and it's got an additional 6 months on it until the spring of 25, should we need it with those pesky cough C protests. Anybody here fall under 9601, 1 or 2? Mentor protege, contractor teaming arrangements? No, everybody's a prime to themselves. How about for industry? Let's raise a hand for smalls. Any type of small? Okay, about half dozen. And larges? Almost 10. Okay, great. Last iteration of our numbers that went to OMB said 71% of the dollars off of NITAC vehicle went to small companies. 71%.
No question, just a statement. If you would like to have a copy of the presentation, I will scan you and send it to you later on.
Okay, that's Melissa in the yellow blazer. She'll scan you. You can get the presentation via email. Okay, how about just general questions in government procurement? It's my other hat. Anybody? Where we're going, changes, CR issues, continuing resolution? Yes, sir. Mike?
Yeah, Brian, you did mention the timeline on CSP4, but you told us about the extension. Maybe some insights on where we're progressing on CSP4 and how that stands and what the expectations there are. And then, as you mentioned, perhaps the effects of the CR or whatever occurs with the government budgeting going forward would be a great conversation topic.
You got it. I'll take the latter first. So the continuing resolution, which is the government's budget, 2 end dates. March 1 for the warfighters, March 8 for people like me on the civilian side of the government, March 1 to March 8 quickly coming up. If for some reason the government goes through a shutdown, NITAC has the ability to stay open. We do not close. We stay open, unlike most procurement shops and most government offices. So the vehicle could still be accessed and used during a government shutdown. We don't have nearly the amount of people on staff on the hour, any one given hour during that time, but we do have people that run the vehicle, keep it afloat. And it does do business in the past during shutdowns. On CUSP4, again, we've got about 8 protests currently in the COFC, Court of Federal Claims. Timeline for that resolution can be lengthy. It can be anywhere from 3 to 6 to 9 months, could also unfortunately be a year. By the end of the week, we're supposed to have a judge appointed from COFC, and that judge, based on that judge's history, likely could provide you some opportunity to be clairvoyant and see where this might go, because some of the judges tend to side with private industry and some of the judges tend to side with government, if past performance is an indicator of the way they rule. Beyond that, SP3, going through the request for extension, goes all the way up to the secretary. It's already been written, it's been drafted, I've signed off, it's working its way through various levels. There's a couple briefings we have to do, one of which we've done, another one which is coming up. And the expectation to have it signed and approved, is probably early to mid-March. So it will not be this month. But as soon as it's approved, we'll announce it on the website and send out a press release. It'll be able to take all your requirements for those in the federal government through the fiscal year, and for those in private industry, you can continue to do your dog and pony shows and try to recommend to customers to utilize the vehicle. Yes, sir.
Well, there we go. Thanks for that, certainly. I know you got this stuff in the Court of Federal Claims, and you probably can't talk much about it, but is there any indication, are these more of the same from the previous protests? Are you talking the same things on the scorecard approach or in the complaint coming forward? And the only reason I'm asking is if it's more of the same, maybe we can expect the same result. If it's something new, then maybe we can expect a different result.
Some of the protests are of a related grounds from the previous one, though not identical. A couple of them are new grounds. So we've got a bunch of questions and paperwork to turn over to the court in answering those grounds. So time will tell. Again, I think when the judge gets assigned, you'll be able to read between the lines and figure out where's this going.
Thanks. Let me change topics now off of CSP4 onto the approach to federal government procurement. Many agencies have been struggling with the approach to acquiring cloud services and cloud brokerage type services, and I know they're available on the contract. Could you touch on that area of procurement and how agencies can be better informed on the procurement of cloud type services and brokerage services?
Sure. So I'll start with this. Anybody in government heard of something called the FACDS, FACDS? FACDS is a Federal Acquisition Certification in Digital Services. DS is Digital Services. So you have to have a special warrant for anything over $7 million. So a lot of contracting officers, including ours, is trained on this. In order to buy the type of service that Mike's talking about, you've got to have that type of warrant. If your office doesn't have that type of warrant, you can send the procurement to us under assisted acquisition. Now, as it relates to the state of the industry and things like CMMC and other hurdles that private industry has to jump over in order to provide these services to the government, specifically the DoD, the implementation dates, the bars, they're always changing, and I don't think it's been set still to this day. But I can tell you that a lot of the opportunity for industry to comment on things of this nature go through OMB, on something called the OMB Max system. So if you see a draft and you want to provide comment as to how this affects you, what its downrange outputs are, implementation, execution, how this will actually play out, please comment. You can also see your comments to the NITAC box. We'll read them. If we agree with you, we'll help argue the same point from within inside the government. So again, that industry and government connection in NITAC is very unique. We work quite well together, closely. Any other questions or comments?
Brian, one last back to COSP4. Assuming you get past the protest hurdle, you have an extension in place, you have a little overlap in the contracts. What's the timing like for an ATP authority to proceed, and how does that work with the old contract?
Yeah. So we'll go with the presumption that the protest will be resolved before the fiscal year is out. That puts us at a post-award kickoff conference in mid-October. The SP3 will continue throughout the fiscal year, but SP4 will kick off in mid-October at a start date of late October, and SP3 and 4 will both be running together, commensurate with each other for like 2 weeks, as there's a little bit of a learning curve there. If the protests are not resolved by, say, the end of September, then we're into the next iteration of the extension, which is another 6 months, and then we're probably looking at a post-award kickoff conference in April, mid-April, with a start date of late April for SP4. Again, SP3 would then still be extended all the way until April 29th, 2025. There's certain times in the vehicle I don't want to start it. I don't want to start it at the end of a fiscal year. I don't want to start it in the fourth quarter. I don't want to start it in the holidays. So there's a couple of kind of taboo places on the calendar. So if it's not October, then it likely will be, I don't want to wait until April unless I have to, but if I can get it done a little earlier, next February, next March is a possibility as well. Okay, any other questions or comments? How are we doing on time? Anybody else? Going once, going twice. I appreciate your attention. Thanks for listening. If you have any other comments or questions, or you want to ask something privately, my team will hang out here for 5-10 minutes, or feel free to come by the booth. Thank you. Have a great day.